ఇంటర్మీడియట్ విద్యారంగంలో అగ్రగామి మన ఎన్ఎస్ఆర్ ఇంపల్స్ ఎడ్యుకేషన్ ఇన్స్టిట్యూషన్. ఐఐటి జేఈఈ అయినా నీట్ అయినా తిరుగులేని విద్యా సంస్థ ఎన్ఎస్ఆర్ ఇంపల్స్.
Next continuation to the last class is excretory organs. So what are the excretory organs means? Organs which may be involved in synthesis of nitrogenous waste material and which may be involved in elimination and which may be involved in maintenance of the constant water and salt level. Such organs are said to be as the excretory organs. The organs which are involved in the synthesis of nitrogenous waste material, which may be involved in elimination of the nitrogenous waste material, which may be involved in maintenance of the constant water and salt level, such organs are said to be as the excretory organs. So definitely in invertebrates, definitely in the most of invertebrate individuals, this excretory organs are simple tubular in nature, means from the platyhelminthes to the echinodermata, whatever the excretory organs which may be present, definitely in the echinodermates excretory organs are completely absent. So definitely from the platyhelminthes to the molluscans, whatever the excretory organs which may be present, they may be in the form of the simple tube. So they are simple tubular, but in vertebrates, excretory organs are compound tubular in nature. Definitely they may be with the complex, that is nothing but kidney. They are in complex tubular nature, means they are compound tubular, means they are nothing but kidney. Definitely in vertebrate individuals that excretory organs are with the complex nature. In the case of the invertebrate individuals, they are with the simple tubular like. Again, definitely what are the various type of the excretory organs which may be given in our syllabus means, first one is the protonephridia. Protonephridia is first excretory organ. Second one is the metanephridia. Next one is the green glands or antennary glands. Next one is the coxal glands. So definitely various excretory organs are present in the various kind of the animals. Of them, first protonephridia. Definitely protonephredias are deadly ended tubules. These are the deadly ended tubules. What is the meaning of the deadly ended? On both sides they are in close. Definitely this is said to be as the deadly ended. On both ends also, this tube, if it is enclosed, then that is said to be as the deadly ended. that is the deadly ended tube. Again, this is said to be as the flame bulb. This is the flame bulb in which tuft of cilia. These are the ciliary group. This is the ciliary group. Here also, this is the ciliary group. This is the ciliary group like this. These are the cilia. So definitely in Protonephridia, this is the deadly ended tube. This is the deadly ended tube. Definitely it is with the flame bulb. This is the one flame bulb, this is the one flame bulb, this is the one flame bulb, this is the one flame bulb. So in flame bulb, ciliary group is present or tuft of cilia. Tuft means group. Tuft of cilia is present. This is said to be as the tuft of cilia. Definitely, Protonephridias principally useful to collect, principally useful to maintain ionic balance, water levels in the body of an individual. Means definitely Protonephridias are primarily involved in osmoregulation. They primarily involve in osmoregulation, secondarily involve in excretion. Protonephridias principally, they are at first focused to maintain constant water and salt level in the body, that is said to be as the osmoregulation. Primary function of the Protonephridia is osmoregulation, that at first focus to maintain the constant water and salt level in the body, that is the osmoregulation. Secondarily, they may be involved in excretion. Then in what kind of the animals? This Protonephridias are commonly present means, in what kind of the animals they are present means, in Platyhelminthes animals, in rotifers, in larvae of Annelida, in larvae of mollusca, again in Cephalochordata. They are nothing but lancelets. Definitely in the Cephalochordata, Protonephridias are with the solenocytes but not with the flame cell. In rest of all, Protonephridias are with the flame cells or flame bulb. But in the case of the Cephalochordata, Protonephridia which is present, that is with the solenocyte. Definitely here, solenocytes are present as the functional cells instead of flame bulb. Instead of the flame cell, in Cephalochordata such as the lancelets, solenocytes are present as the functional cells in Protonephridia. Protonephridias are principally present as the excretory organs in Platyhelminthes, in rotifers, in larvae of Annelida, in larvae of mollusca, in Cephalochordata such as the lancelet. Specifically in the cephalochordates, specifically in the lancelets, the functional cells in Protonephridia are solenocytes. But in the rest of all, in Protonephridia, functional cells are the flame cell, that is the flame bulb. This is the first. Second type of the excretory organs are metanephridia. Metanephridia. Definitely metanephridias are very commonly present in annelids. In annelids, excretory organs are said to be as the metanephridia. Definitely metanephridias are with nephrostome. This is said to be as the nephrostome. This is the nephridial body. This is the nephridiophore. This is said to be as the nephrostome. This is the nephridial body. This is said to be as the nephridiophore. So in that way, definitely in the case of the metanephridia, this is said to be as the nephrostome. That is gets opens into the body fluid. That is gets opens into the body cavity to collect the nitrogenous waste material from the body cavity. Nephridial body is with a highly coiled state. Nephridial body is with a highly coiled state. Finally, that maybe gets opens to the out through the nephridiophore to excrete, to eliminate nitrogenous waste material. So definitely this metanephridia is also involved in excretion as well as to maintain the ionic balance as well as water balance inside of the body also they may be involved. Means definitely they may be useful for excretion as well as for osmoregulation. Osmoregulation nothing but maintenance of the constant water and salt level in the body. Definitely both of them are, this metanephridia is principally useful for excretion as well as for maintaining of the constant body water, constant salt level, that is the osmoregulation also. Next to another type of excretory organs are the Malpighian tubules. Third type is the Malpighian tubules. Definitely Malpighian tubules are present in tracheates, arthropods such as the insects. Just assume this is the Malpighian tubule. Definitely Malpighian tubules are tubular structures. They are yellow in color. They may be occur at the junction between the midgut and hindgut. Malpighian tubules are the tubular structures. They may be freely floated in the hemolymph. The blood of the arthropods is said to be as the hemolymph. Blood of the arthropods is said to be as the hemolymph. Definitely, in this kind of the hemolymph, this tubular Malpighian tubules are freely floated and they may not be gets opens into the hemolymph because at distal part, this is said to be as the distal part, this is the proximal part. At distal part they may be in closing state, so that only they may not be gets opens into the hemolymph directly, but they may be opens into the hindgut. Proximally, this is said to be as the proximal portion, this is the distal portion. Proximally, they may be gets opens into the hindgut. So definitely they collect nitrogenous waste material from the surrounding hemolymph inside of this small fission tubule, uric acid synthesis is taken place here. So what kind of the waste materials are collected by this distal part of the Malpighian tubule means CO2 and water and potassium urate. Definitely potassium urate, this is the hemolymph. From the hemolymph, this distal part of the Malpighian tubule collects potassium urate, this is the salt, and CO2 and water from the hemolymph. Finally, inside of Malpighian tubule, this potassium urate is combined with the CO2 and water, and finally that leads to formation of potassium bicarbonate, uric acid plus KHCO3. Inside of the Malpighian tubule, this potassium bicarbonate plus water plus uric acid gets formed here. Means potassium urate is combined with the CO2 and water in Malpighian tubule. Finally, that leads to the formation of the water, potassium bicarbonate, uric acid. This potassium bicarbonate, KHCO3, this water is again absorbed into the blood through the proximal part. Later, uric acid which gets synthesized releases into the hindgut. Later that will be passes through the rectum. While that is passes through the rectum, water which is present in the uric acid is reabsorbed again. Then after it may be eliminated to the out. Means definitely Malpighian tubules may not directly excrete the synthesized uric acid. Malpighian tubules releases that synthesized uric acid into the hindgut in order to get reabsorbed water which is present in the uric acid, on or before that may be eliminated to the out. The release of uric acid, passing of the uric acid through the hindgut is the water conservation adaptation in insects. Definitely in the case of the arthropod insects, these Malpighian tubules are useful for water conservation as well as for the elimination of the uric acid also. Then in what kind of the individuals these Malpighian tubules are present? These are present in insects, in chylopods, in diplopods. This kind of the Malpighian tubules are present as the excretory organs. In insects, in chylopods, in diplopods, Malpighian tubules are present as the excretory organs. Next to another type of the excretory organs are antennary glands. Antennary glands are green glands. Then in which kind of the individuals this antennary glands or the green glands are present as the excretory structures means in crustacea. In crustacea of arthropods, this antennary glands or the green glands are present at the base of antennae. Just assume this is the body of crustacea. These are said to be as the antennae. These are the antennae. Here, whatever the gland which is present, that is said to be as the antennary glands. This antennary glands are opens to the out to excrete the ammonia as the excretory material. Definitely, antennary glands are the green glands are present at the base of the antennae in crustaceans. They may be directly opens to the out and they may be excrete the ammonia as the excretory material. So in that way, antennary glands are present in the crustacea. Next, another type of the excretory organs are coaxial glands. Coaxial glands are present as the excretory organs in arachnids. In arachnids, in Giphosaura, definitely these coaxial glands are present as the excretory structures. So definitely in the case of the scorpion, in the case of the Araneia, in the case of the Limulus, this kind of the coaxial glands are present as the excretory organ. Next, metanephric kidneys. Kidney or pericardial gland or renal organ. Kidney or metanephridia or renal organ or pericardial gland. So in the case of the adult molluscans, whatever the excretory organs which are present, they are said to be as the kidneys or the metanephridia or the renal organ or the pericardial gland. Specifically in the case of the adult molluscans, this kidney or the metanephridia or the renal organ or the pericardial gland is present. Definitely these are present in adult molluscans. In adult molluscans, this kind of the kidney or metanephridia or the renal organ or the pericardial gland is present as the excretory organ. These are the excretory organs. Next, to human excretory system. Next one is the human excretory system. Human excretory system. Human excretory system. This is the part of urinogenital system. Human excretory system is the part of the human urinogenital system. Excretory system of human is originated from mesoderm. During the embryonic development, from the mesoderm, human excretory system gets originated. In human excretory system, what are the parts which are present means one pair of kidneys, one pair of ureters, one pair of the urinary ducts such as the ureters, one urinary bladder and one urethra. One urethra. In the case of the human excretory system, what are the parts which are present means one pair of the kidney, one pair of the ureters such as the urinary ducts, one urinary bladder, one urethra are present as the parts in the human excretory system. Of them, first part is the kidney. In the case of the human excretory system, principal organs for excretion are the one pair of the kidneys. Definitely, what kind of the kidneys are present means metanephric kidneys are present in the case of the human. These are the retroperitoneal organs. So one pair of the kidneys which are present, they are metanephric type. Again they are the retroperitoneal organs. What is the meaning of the retroperitoneal means? Just assume this is the body wall. Again this is the visceral organ. Definitely this is the visceral organ. That is the alimentary canal. So definitely this is the kidney, bean shaped kidney. Again, inner surface of the kidney is covered with the parietal layer of the peritoneum. This is the parietal peritoneum. This is the visceral peritoneum. This is said to be as the visceral peritoneum. So definitely kidney inner surface is covered with the parietal peritoneum. Outer surface is not covered with any coelomic epithelium. If only inner surface of the kidney, if it can be covered with the parietal peritoneum, such organ is said to be as the retroperitoneal organ. That parietal peritoneum is said to be as the retroperitoneum. This is said to be as the retroperitoneum. This kidney is said to be as the retroperitoneal organ. This parietal peritoneum which covers the inner surface of the kidney is said to be as the retroperitoneum. In that way, kidneys are retroperitoneal organs which are present in our body. Again, when we observe the kidney, so size of kidney, or before going to that, color. What is the color of the kidney means? Reddish brown color. Okay. So color of the kidney is reddish brown in color. Again, what is the shape of kidney? Shape is the bean shape. Bean shape. Again, what is the weight of kidney? Means about 120 to 170 grams. Definitely both sides together constitute 120 to 170 grams, but not single. Both the side of the kidneys together about 120 to 170 grams is in weight. Weight of the kidney is about 120 to 170 grams. So in that way, these kidneys are reddish brown in color. They are with the bean shape. They about 120 to 170 grams in weight. Again, when we observe the external structure of the kidney, when we observe the kidney, Definitely these kidneys are protected with a membrane. That membrane is said to be as the renal capsule. This protective membrane is said to be as the renal capsule. This is very tough. This is made up of with fibrous tissue. Definitely around to the kidney, whatever the fibrous connective tissue layer which is present to provide the protection, which is very stiff in nature, that kind of the layer is said to be as the renal capsule. Again, inner surface of the kidney is concave, outer surface of the kidney is with the convex. This is the convex, this is the concave. Inner surface of the kidney is with the concave, outer surface of the kidney is with the convex. So definitely in inner surface of the kidney, definitely there is the depression or there is the opening. In inner surface of the kidney, definitely there is the opening. That opening is said to be as the hilus. The depression is said to be as the hilum. That opening is said to be as the hilus. Definitely this is the hilum. Through that kind of the hilum, water gets entered into the kidney, water exit to out. Water entered into the kidney, water exit to out means renal artery entered into the kidney, again nerves also entered into the kidney through the hilum, again renal vein exit the kidney through that hilum, again this is the ureters also gets exit through that kind of the hilum to out. So on ventral surface, whatever the notch, whatever the depression which is present, that is said to be as the hilum. Through that kind of the hilum, renal artery nerves are gets entered into the kidney, again through the hilum renal vein, ureters are exit to the out. Then definitely where this kind of the kidneys are present in our body means on either side of vertebral column. On either side of the vertebral column, this one pair of the kidneys are present. Definitely this is the vertebral column. On either side of the vertebral column, on dorsal side, one pair of the kidneys are present at the level of last thoracic to third lumbar vertebrae. At the level between the last thoracic to third lumbar vertebrae, this one pair of the kidneys are present on the dorsal side of the body, on either side of the vertebral column. Again, when we means the location of the kidney is on either side of the vertebral column dorsally, between the levels of last thoracic to third lumbar, this one pair of the kidneys are present. Again, right side of kidney is slightly lower than left side. Right side of the kidney is slightly lower than left side because in the right side liver is present in the abdomen. Definitely in the right side liver is present. Due to that, this right side of the kidney is slightly lower than left side of the kidney. Definitely both of them are on either side of the vertebral column dorsally at the level between the last thoracic vertebrae to third lumbar vertebrae. Again, when we observe the internal structure of the kidney, definitely inside of kidney, internal structure of kidney, when we observe the internal structure of the kidney, so just assume this is the kidney here. Definitely inside of kidney, this kidney is distinguished into the two regions. Outer region of kidney, which is dark red in color, that outer region is said to be as the renal cortex. Definitely outer region of the kidney, which is with dark red in color, is said to be as the renal cortex. Inner region of the kidney, which is with light red in color, is said to be as the renal medulla. This is said to be as the renal medulla. Definitely outer region of the kidney is the renal cortex. Inner region of the kidney is said to be as the renal medulla. This is a dark red in color. This is the light red in color. Again, definitely inside of medulla, ureter is expands like this, with entry of this ureter into the medulla, into the kidney, that shows the expansion. This expanded part of the ureter is said to be as the renal pelvis. This is said to be as the renal pelvis. Expanded part of ureter inside of the renal medulla is said to be as the renal pelvis. This is said to be as the ureter. Again, this renal pelvis is with many cup-shaped structures. That each and every cup-shaped structure is said to be as the renal calyx. This is said to be as the renal calyx or renal calyces. Single is the calyx, plural word is the renal calyces. So definitely cup-shaped structures like this, cup-shaped structures which may be present on the top of the renal pelvis, that cup-shaped structures are said to be as the renal calyx. Single is the renal calyx, plural word is the renal calyces. They are the renal calyces or renal calyx. Definitely into renal calyces, whatever the pillar-like structures which maybe gets open like this, into that kind of the renal calyces, pillar-shaped structures which maybe gets open, that pillar-like structures are said to be as the renal pyramids. These are said to be as the renal pyramids or renal columns. Definitely these are said to be as the renal pyramids. So definitely into the calyces, whatever the pillar-like structures which maybe gets open, that pillar-like structures are said to be as the renal pyramid. These are the renal pyramids. These are the renal pyramids. Definitely renal pyramids are gets opens into calyces through a opening. This is the renal pyramid, this is the opening. This is the renal pyramid, this is the opening. Opening of renal pyramid, this is said to be as the opening. Opening of renal pyramid into the renal calyces is said to be as the renal papillae. The opening of that renal pyramid into calyces, opening of that kind of the renal pyramid into renal calyces or renal calyx is said to be as the renal papillae. Again, just assume, definitely between the two renal pyramids, definitely this is the one renal pyramid, this is the one renal pyramid. Between the two renal pyramids or between the two renal pyramid, this renal cortex is extends in the form of the column. The space between the two neighboring renal pyramids, this is the renal pyramid, this is the renal pyramid. The space which is present between the two neighboring renal pyramids into which this cortex is gets extends in the form of the column, that kind of the cortical extension. This is the renal cortex portion, it's not medullary part. This is the renal cortex portion. This renal cortex which is extends into the medulla between the two sides of the renal pyramid, that extension of the cortex into the medulla is said to be as the columns of Bertini. This is the Bertini columns or columns of Bertini. These are the Bertini columns or columns of Bertini. Definitely columns of Bertini is nothing but extension of renal cortex into the medulla between the two sides of the renal pyramids. Between the two sides of the renal pyramid, whatever the space is present in the renal medulla, into which this cortex is gets extends as the column, that is said to be as the columns of Bertini or the Bertini columns. Similarly, here also just assume this is nothing but one renal pyramid. This is also one renal pyramid. So, in between these two sides of the renal pyramids, whatever the space which is present into that kind of the space, this renal cortex is extends like this. Definitely this is also renal cortex. If this renal cortex is extends into medulla between the two sides of the renal pyramid, this is also called as the columns of Bertini. Again, when we observe the structure of the renal pyramid,